Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will discuss making money from games, fairly important if you want to pursue game development as a career. Obviously there are multiple ways, and I'm going to touch on a few key points to take into account whilst deciding. The first and most common is self-explained, but has been around since the beginning of development, and that is selling your product. This can be achieved by using DDP, or digital distribution platforms. Steam and GameJolt, just to name a few, are incredibly popular. Steam goes through a filtering process called Steam Greenlight. This originally allowed the community to make decisions on what would be allowed in the store. More recently, I've noticed that the Greenlight process is not so effective as I initially thought. There have been multiple complaints on social media about the sales not occurring after release. But Greenlight's voting system literally says, would you buy this game if it were available on Steam? And the only way to get so-called greenlit is if the game gets enough votes on yes to convince the company that it would sell. Even so, after releasing to one of these platforms, a small percentage of your profit goes towards the distribution platform. The industry standard for these platforms are 30%, and this often doesn't include tax. Yet Itch.io, a more recent platform, lets you decide on how much you wish to give in regards to their services. Itch.io also has a flexible price choosing method. They allow for regular sales but also includes a feature where the consumer pays what they want. This can often give your game or company a good reputation, but contains a few risks. GameJolt works in a similar way to Itch.io, although to share my opinion, I do not enjoy the user interface as I found it harder to navigate their site. In regards to mobile, the two most common are Google Play and the App Store. These both require the purchase of a license beforehand. Google Play charges $25 but is a one-time payment, and the App Store goes for a large $99 per year. Before moving on, I have left out getting your game into a console release, because it would require an entire video to explain, and the demographic I am mostly talking to are indie developers. The next option is advertising. This is powerful in more modern times, as people have become used to advertisements paying for most forms of entertainment. When it comes to placing ads in your games, we do this through multiple methods, some of which can include a more personal method. The idea is that we are promoting another brand using our brand. The promotion is usually for products that believe exposure through your games are valuable and generate an audience. There are many platforms you can use to gain access to advertising. If you're using the Unity engine, they offer a service known as Unity Ads. This is probably the easiest way to implement ads into your game. The problem with this method is that you have very little control over what is advertised. Imagine losing an audience because an ad played for another game which stole your players. Ultimately, we can implement ads from Google AdSense, which gives you a choice in what advertising you display, although implementing this method is slightly harder. Unity loves to boast about the success of Crossy Road, which used ads in a more effective manner. Players are not forced to watch an ad after every death, rather they watch ads if they want in-game revenue. Every player will often love to take an easy method to gaining this revenue. Crossy Road had gameplay that was frustrating enough to make you want to watch ads for a reward that would otherwise have taken hours. The players believe that this is a worthy exchange, and so does the developer. This process is known as rewarded advertisement and is very common today. Going through an advertisement agency does have its downsides. The agency has full control of the money you are making. We have a small amount of understanding about the technical side that they go through and could be paying very small amounts of the profit you earned. When an ad is shown to the consumer, they can either skip it, watch the entire video, or click on the advertisement. You generate more revenue depending on what road they take. If the user decided to purchase the advertisement product, then the product developer would pay both you and the advertisement agency. Watching the video alone earns you significantly less, and to skip the video means you earn too little to mention. Watching ads are also known as impressions. Unity ads do not pay unless the product advertising gets around 5,000 impressions. This is due to proving that your product is meaningful enough to generate a large audience. One of the problems with advertising is the platforms we are limited to using. It is possible but not recommended that you add ads to a standalone PC game. Often this happens, but since it is easier to access the files and makeup of your game, people will eventually create an ad-free version, taking away from your revenue and possibly traffic to your download page. On the other hand, iOS and Android are perfect and have proved to work in this method. Another final method being incredibly popular is browser-based games. These are found on sites like Miniclip and Armor Games, which are often purely there to support the website and the games found on that website. Old school RuneScape used banner ads in what I would say is one of the most effective uses of advertisement that I have ever seen. Moving on to the final method, we have in-game purchases. If anyone has played League of Legends, you'll understand the importance of cosmetics. Riot Games uses it perfectly and manages to make an incredible profit. Games with many in-game purchases are usually distributed for free. This can be achieved in many different ways, and I can only give examples because it is specific to the game that you are making. Apps often let you buy in-game currency for real-world money. This is an incredibly useful tactic as the user doesn't know the value of the purchase. Often that in-game currency can let you buy in-game items. But when $5 gives you 263 gems and you want to buy 6 bales of hay worth 97 gems each, the user is left confused. Yes, this is a so-called dick move, but when it comes to generating revenue, we often need to trick people into making purchases. Now more than ever, players are spending massive amounts of money on cosmetics that do not exist. Another form of in-app purchases are membership deals. Games can often give you a taste of the full product to try and make you disappointed when the membership runs out. A good example of this is World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft gives you a free-to-play account up to level 20. This limits the amount you can do in the world, but enough to let you see what is offered in the full version. This method works because the user is guaranteed to know what they are purchasing. RuneScape has the same method, creating free-to-play servers with many features enabled, but limiting others that seem interesting to the user. When it comes to competitive games, in-app purchases are super effective, but also risky. Selling items that improve your player's abilities turns your game into a pay-to-win game, which will always take away from the immersion. Knowing that other players are better because they have more money is not something that supports the idea of competitive gameplay. Cosmetics, on the other hand, usually do not change your skill and therefore support the idea. Multiplayer games that are not competitive can sell statistic-altering gear without defeating immersion. Clash of Clans, for example, where a large amount of time is spent waiting, can use this against the player's impatience. Having a system which does not seem to alter skill but speed up experience also appeals to the customer. So choosing a method completely depends on what type of game you are making. It is important to stick to the common methods because unexpected events involving money will often turn people away. Choosing between in-app purchases, ads, and sales in mobile development completely depends on your app. If it is an infinite game with a lot of grinding, then it is likely that the player will want to speed up this process, sell these methods, and profit. If your game is a large multiplayer game where people seek new and exciting items to show off, then create an in-game currency and sell the currency. Direct sales will make this seem unfair. If your game is a quick app that people will play for a few minutes each day, then run ads. If your game has unlockables and repetitive gameplay, run a rewarded ad to win some in-game currency. If your game is a PC standalone and single player, then direct sale is perfect for you. If your game is competitive multiplayer, then sell cosmetics and characters. If your game is browser based, run ads. If your game is an MMO, then sell membership. And if your game is text based, well, go back to the 90s. Thanks for watching everyone. Check out some of my other content if you want in-depth explanation of simple things, and click that subscribe button to be notified of these simple things. I hope you learnt a lot, and as always, have mediocre day. The next option is advertising. This is particularly powerful in more modern times if people have become used to This is particularly powerful in This is particularly powerful This is particularly powerful in more modern times as people have become used to advertisements paying for most forms of entertainment.